So you should have tried out your own example for cosine of x plus 4 now. And so if you tried that, your graph should look like this. So the midline is at 4. It's a cosine, so it starts at 5, and then it goes down, down, up, up. The next one, you have sine of x minus 2, so your midline is at negative 2. Sine starts at the midline, so we're starting at negative 2, then you go up, down, down, up. Then for cosine 3 of x minus 1, it's a vertical stretch by 3. Your amplitude is 3. So you draw your midline at negative 1. Cosine starts at the amplitude. The amplitude is up 3 from the midline, so you actually start at 2. Then you go down 3 to the midline at negative 1. Then you go down 3 to negative 4 at the pi. You go up 3 to the negative 1, and then all the way up to the top at 2 for your stretch of 3. So let's try graphing a horizontal translation. So horizontal translation, we have here that our amplitude is 1 and the horizontal shift. So horizontal shift is inside. We're going to the right pi. Our period is 2 pi, and the vertical shift is not applicable. Our midline is still at 0. We're not shifting it at any point. We're just focusing on the horizontal translation. Our maximum will be 1, and a minimum will be 1. So what I start with is I know that the period is 2 pi. So I'm going to start at 2 pi, and I'm going to start at 2 pi here. Then this will be pi, this is pi over 2, this will be 3 pi over 2, and then I need to do more. So this is 3 pi over 2, because I'm going to shift to the right. 3 pi over 2, this is 2 pi over 2. You could think about this as if we had pi over 2, this is 2 pi over 2, then it would be 3 pi over 2, which is that value at the top. Then it would be 4 pi over 2, which is our 2 pi. So if we continue that pattern, we had 4 pi over 2. This next one then would be 5 pi over 2. Then we'd have 6 pi over 2, which is actually 3 pi. Then up here would be 7 pi over 2. Okay, so sometimes the hardest part about this is just labeling the x-axis and how are you going to divide it out. So we have this all labeled. We know that it is shifted to the right pi. Shifted to the right pi. We know that it's cosine. Cosine starts at the amplitude, so it starts at the 1. So let's go ahead and let me graph our parent function. The parent function cosine of x. So cosine starts at 1, then it goes down to pi over 2, then a pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. So here is our graph. So to shift it to the right pi, instead we're going to start at pi here. Okay, so we're just shifted it right 1. Then we're just going to follow the pattern. Then we go down, down, up, up. And then you can take a look at it. You have pi to 3 pi. That is 2 pi, so that it is a full period. So here is the graph of cosine of x minus pi. See if you can try that for graphing sine of x plus pi. You can pause it at this point and see if you can do it on your own. And then when you come back, I will have this video for you. Okay, if you tried it out, it should be very similar. Amplitude is 1. Horizontal shift, this time, is left pi. Our period is still 2 pi. There is no vertical shifting. Our midline is still at 0. Our max and mins are 1 and negative 1. And so we need to label this. I know that the period is going to be 2 pi. So this time I have a 2 pi, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me do 4. Do 2 pi here. This is pi, pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. Then on the left side, I had negative pi over 2. This will be negative pi. This will be negative 3 pi over 2. And this will be negative 2 pi. Amplitude is 1 and negative 1. So we know that the sine If you need to, you can always graph the parent. So let me go ahead and graph the parent. Sine of x. It starts at 0, up to pi over 2, down to pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. So here is our parent, sine of x. So let's shift it over left pi. So left pi is actually over here. So instead of starting at 0, we're going to start at pi here. Then you're going to follow the pattern. So next it would go up, then down, then down, then up. Okay, and then look at it. Look at the period. It's from negative pi to pi. Negative pi to pi, that is 1 pi plus 1 pi is 2 pi. So there is our graph for sine of x plus pi. Go ahead and try one more example here, sine of x minus pi over 2 plus 1, and then I will have the answer for you in the next video.